The 2024 NBA offseason had its fair share of fireworks, but not all of them were the good kind. Some teams made moves that had fans scratching their heads and asking, did they really just do that? From blockbuster trades that fizzled out to free agent signings that make you question whether anyone read the fine print. Today, we're diving into the biggest offseason mistakes that have fans shaking their heads, and maybe even laughing a little. Alex Caruso trade blunder. Let's kick things off with one of the most baffling moves of the offseason, the Alex Caruso trade. Seriously, you're telling me the Chicago Bulls couldn't secure even one first-round pick for him? Caruso is one of the most respected role players in the league, a defensive powerhouse with championship experience. Yet, instead of landing a valuable draft pick, they ended up with Josh Giddey. Now, don't get me wrong, Giddey is a talented player, but he was practically invisible during the postseason. And this trade came from OKC, a team sitting on a mountain of first-round picks, more than they probably know what to do with. You would think Chicago could have squeezed out just one of those picks, right? To make matters worse, that pick could have been attached to a Zach LaVine trade, allowing the Bulls to dump his massive salary. Instead, Chicago is going into next season with LaVine still on the roster, fully committed to a strategy of trying to win every game. Not the worst idea, but considering their salary cap situation, this feels like a missed opportunity that will haunt them. The Caruso trade could have been a game-changer for Chicago, but instead, it's just another questionable offseason decision. Denver's costly gamble on KCP. Now, if you thought Chicago's offseason blunder was bad, wait until you hear about what the Denver Nuggets did, or rather, didn't do. Letting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, walk was a head-scratcher. We're talking about a key player who was instrumental in their recent championship run. The Nuggets decided to let him go to avoid crossing the dreaded second salary cap apron, which imposes stricter financial penalties for high-spending teams. Here's the problem. Denver is wasting the prime years of Nikola Jokic, a generational talent, potentially a top 15 player of all time. The Nuggets could have weathered the financial storm, much like the Boston Celtics, who are also a second apron team but have committed to winning now. Boston is already built for success, and so was Denver, until they let KCP go. The Nuggets' fallback plan? Well, it leaves much to be desired. Sure, they signed Russell Westbrook and have young talent like Christian Braun, Julian Strawther, and Peyton Watson. But here's the kicker. Coach Michael Malone doesn't like playing those young guys, and when reports surface about disagreements between Malone and the front office, this is what they're about. Malone wants to win and keep his key players, not be left with guys he doesn't trust in big moments. If they had pulled off a move like Milwaukee landing Gary Trent Jr. on a cheap deal, or Dallas nabbing Derrick Jones Jr., it would have made sense. But they didn't, and that's a move that could cost them dearly down the line. The Clippers' self-destruction. If you're looking for the worst move of the 2024 offseason, look no further than the LA Clippers. This is a team that has been all in since 2019 when they brought in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They've been chasing a championship ever since, trading future assets for the likes of James Harden just last year. But here's where it gets messy. There were whispers that the Clippers were hesitant to re-sign Paul George. If that's the case, why on earth did they trade even more first-round picks for Harden? Now, the Clippers find themselves out of assets, with no clear path to improvement. Their current roster? Not good enough to compete for a title. It's the worst of both worlds, no assets for the future and a team that likely won't make it past the first round of the playoffs, if they even get that far. Injuries are always a concern with Kawhi Leonard, and if, or when, he's sidelined come playoff time, the Clippers will have nothing to show for their efforts. Oh, and to make matters worse, their first-round pick goes to OKC too. What the Clippers should have done was simple. Re-sign Paul George and go into the second apron. Yes, it's a financial burden, but at least it would have given them a fighting chance. Or, if they were absolutely set on moving PG, they could have traded him to the Warriors, who were eager to land him. Golden State had several offers on the table, including picks, a young player, and Chris Paul's expiring contract to clear future cap space. Instead, the Clippers traded 3 picks for Harden, let George walk, and now face years of mediocrity. This is, without question, the most catastrophic mistake of the offseason. Rookie of the Year. Prediction. Let's take a break from the negativity for a moment and focus on something positive. The Rookie of the Year race for the upcoming season. Now, I know this year's draft class hasn't exactly been met with rave reviews, but let's not forget that every draft class produces at least 1 or 2 future All-Stars. So, who's going to come out on top this year? The answer might actually surprise you. While some analysts are quick to dismiss the talent in this draft, there are a few diamonds in the rough who could shine bright. The Rookie of the Year award doesn't always go to the most hyped player. It goes to the player who finds themselves in the right situation, with the opportunity to make an impact. Keep an eye on the young guys who land in roles where they'll get plenty of playing time and have a green light to score. Often, it's not just about talent, but about opportunity, and the right rookie could break out in a way no one sees coming. Michael Porter Jr. max contract. A costly mistake. Let's talk about how the Denver Nuggets, fresh off their championship win, made some decisions that could come back to haunt them. With the new NBA rules, one mistake can crush a franchise. A perfect example? The Nuggets paying Michael Porter Jr. a max contract. Sure, he's a talented player with plenty of upside, but giving him that max deal led to a domino effect that hurt the team's depth. Because of that financial strain, they had to let go of one of their most valuable role players, Bruce Brown. Brown was key to their championship run, and losing him is a blow to their title defense. As if that wasn't enough, they then paid Zeke Naji, a player who, let's be honest, didn't even contribute enough to warrant that kind of investment. The result? They had no choice but to let go of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, another vital piece of their championship puzzle. Breaking up a title-winning team in the prime of Nikola Jokic's career is a nightmare scenario. The new CBA rules make it nearly impossible to balance a roster if you overspend. Virtually no trades, minimal exceptions, and the inability to bring in buyout guys, it's a nightmare for front offices. Yet somehow, teams are still making the same mistakes, and it's going to cost them. As we gear up for the new NBA season, these off-season mistakes will either come back to haunt teams or be the unexpected genius moves we didn't see coming. One thing's for sure, the season ahead is going to be a wild ride. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more amazing content.